Welcome back to Network Africa. Earlier in the bulletin, we're telling you about 29 people that died in fighting between militia and in Somalia's central Galkayo city. We're trying to reconnect with the VOA's Abdulaziz Osman for more on this. He joins us now. We've been able to get him back. Abdulaziz, I'm glad you could rejoin us on the program. So let's just head straight into it. What really happened between last night and today in Somalia?
Well, heavy fighting have erupted in Galkayo yesterday morning between the forces to Galmudug and Puntland states. That fighting was one of the heaviest fighting that the city has experienced. And according to medical officials, at least 31 people have been killed and more than 8 others were wounded in the fighting. And the latest fighting actually has broken a ceasefire that the two sides have agreed a few days ago in Abu Dhabi, which was mediated by the government of United Arab Emirates.
Let's talk about that ceasefire, Abdulaziz, between both sides. What did it entail and how long did they observe it?
Actually, they agreed in Abu Dhabi that they will end the conflict and continue discussing in order to find a final solution. But both sides have actually promised in that agreement that when they come back to Somalia, that they will implement right away and pull the forces that were in the city away from each other. But it seems like that ceasefire has been broken yesterday morning.
Tell us more, Abdulaziz, about the city of Galkayo, how important it is in this situation.
The Galkayo city is the provincial capital of the divided Mudug region of Somalia in central Somalia. It's a divided city. It has been divided since the collapse of central Somalia in 1992. It's a very important city. Both sides actually fought before, and the reason why the fighting is keep coming back to this city is because they are fighting over border disputes between the two sides. The federal government and other Somali regional states have actually tried to convince both sides to end this hostility, but it sounds that still the two sides are still fighting and ignoring the calls from other Somalis to end the hostilities.
Well, give us an idea of what you're hearing from the ground about those who were wounded, those who were killed, those in hospital, and perhaps a UN peacekeeping force or an African Union peacekeeping force in the city.
According to the medical officials that we have spoken today and yesterday, the 80 people that have been wounded in the fighting, at least 6 of them actually died because of the wounds sustained in the fighting. So some of them are civilian, and according to the UN and other NGO organizations, over 80,000 of residents in Galkayo have fled the city because of the fighting. United Nations UN envoy to Somalia has met this morning with the president of Puntland in Bosaso in Puntland city. And the latest information that we are getting from there is that the president of Puntland said that a new ceasefire was announced and agreed flowing telephone conversation with his counterparts. And it seems that the two sides will meet in Galkayo on Friday. And there are a lot of efforts by the federal government and the other Somali regional states who are trying to convince the two sides to hold themselves and try to end the hostility. But there was even a plan that the United Nations, or especially the AMISOM forces, which are based in southern and central Somalia, could be moved to the city so that at least they could end the conflict. But that has not been done because AMISOM is facing financial difficulties and they cannot cope to send another forces to another town in Somalia.
Abdulaziz Osman, really appreciate you joining us on Network Africa today.
Thank you.
He's supposed to be counting days now to the end of his stay in the White House. President Barack Obama leaves in January. He is the son of an African. His father, Kenyan, many in Africa considered him one of their own. So after 8 years in office, what will the president's legacy be on the continent? From Nairobi, the VOA's Jill Craig has the story.
Hopes were high in Africa when President Barack Obama took office. Perhaps too high, suggests Kenyan political commentator Barack Muluka.
If we in Africa were looking up to him to come with a magic wand to solve our problems, and I think our expectations were misplaced. He was not the president of Africa. He has been the president of the United States of America, elected by American citizens, and his foreign policy will be governed first and foremost by American interests.
As president, Obama made 4 trips to sub-Saharan Africa, visiting 6 countries. He has challenged African governments on issues like human rights. He set the tone during his first visit in 2009 to Ghana when he said Africa doesn't need strong men, it needs strong institutions. A highlight of his Africa foreign policy has been his emphasis on trade, not just aid.
I think President Obama built a framework for the U.S. corporate sector to get engaged with Africa by consistently engaging through the business councils and so forth. It sort of de-risked Africa in a lot of U.S. corporate minds, and I think that was an important achievement that the president made.
Obama also made a point of addressing African youth, a group he focused on throughout his time in office. Here he is in Kenya in 2015.
When it comes to the people of Kenya, particularly the youth, I believe there is no limit to what you can achieve.
And Obama's message of hope to Africa and its young people may be what defines his legacy here.
He's shown Africa a higher path, and I think he's done this generally. That's been his politics, that he's always lifted people's heads up and says, look where you can go.
Obama launched the Young African Leaders Initiative in 2010 to help promising young people across the continent prepare for leadership positions. More than 250,000 people have joined the Yali network so far, and in 2016, 1,000 fellows attended leadership programs at U.S. colleges and universities.
And that's Network Africa today. Thanks for watching. I am Amirachi Ubani.